2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
When we try to have sex, we both freeze up. Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers.
We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
What's up, Tyler?
What's going on, Brandon?
Just same old.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting with our weather patterns the last few days, having all the snow that we've been getting.
Oh man, keep it coming.
You've been out skiing?
Yeah. I went to Deer Valley on Friday. It was like one of the greatest days of my life. It was incredible. So it's a win-win. There I am on this white powder just everywhere. And that white powder is going to be what fills up Lake Powell for the summer. So it's just let it snow, bring it on.
Lake Powell's got a long ways to go, but hopefully that's the case.
I know. We just need more winters like this.
Yep.
So
yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, we have Kat on the show with us today. Kat, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you could just let us know who you are, give a little background, and then just ask any questions that you have.
Sure. So I've been married to my husband, Tim, for 12 years now. We've had a lot of cycles of difficulty with his porn use, which he's now identified as being an addictive thing for him. He's been in recovery for the last 4-ish years. And through that, he's kind of discovered that his porn use started very early. It got wrapped up in his joining the Church of Christianity in his early teens. So there was a lot of shame about sexual urges, sexual thoughts. And so he started using porn and hiding porn and having that be a big source of shame in his life fairly early on. When we were first living together before we got married, I would kind of quote unquote catch him using porn on his phone, on his laptop. And it would kind of come out that he was using it to an extent that it was interfering with his day. He was late for work. He was using it at work sometimes, really big ways where it was impacting his life and our lives together. I initially took this on in a lot of bad self-esteem ways. I thought, why doesn't he want my body? Why does he prefer these bodies that are online that he's, searching for? And I really got into a porn police kind of habit where it felt like my job to find it and prevent it. And we were working on it together, but really it was, my policing that was keeping it locked down. Thankfully, in both of those senses, I've really moved on from that. A lot more sex positive now, a lot more less codependent, a lot more willing to let him take accountability for this stuff. And his work has really come a long way. Support groups have really helped him a lot. He's in touch with his emotions. We can talk about emotions. We can talk intellectually about a lot of the challenges we're having in terms of how watching porn and hiding it from me over all these intervening years has affected how he thinks about our sex life and how we want to work on it moving forward. So intellectually, emotionally, great place. But when we really set aside time and we're both wanting to be intimate, wanting to have sex, now that so much of this stuff has been solved and we have so much genuine affection and intimacy in other ways in our relationship, we completely freeze. He gets really nervous. He really needs a lot of confidence building from me. He needs me to be so excited to be there. And because of a lot of the lying, a lot of the self-esteem, a lot of the work I've had to do, I'm not always super excited to be there. I want to be there. I'm turned on. I'm very theoretically wanting to be intimate with him, but I can't match what he needs confidence-wise. So we're stuck. It doesn't end in a fight. Nobody's really upset. We're both kind of just disappointed, and we don't know how to move forward when that happens.
Really great question. This is a really common thing. It sounds like, so just so I understand the picture, neither of you guys are really worried about like the commitment to the recovery process now. It's not like you're in trauma mode trying to find your footing anymore. You guys kind of know the dance you're doing, the work you're engaged in. And so in the context of that, you've got some recovery work sort of under the bridge now. You're trying to figure out how to find the right kind of connection in your sex life with one another. And you're kind of hitting this wall where you're not opposed to being engaged sexually with him. He wants to be engaged sexually with you, but there's a little bit of a gap that's still trying to be bridged where you feel like you're having to build his confidence in order for him to feel confident enough to engage with you sexually.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So he's still in some ways, even with all the work that he's been doing, the work that it's kind of come to now is he's still bringing, in essence, his question to you to answer that he's good enough in this sexual way. Yeah.
I think that sums it up pretty well. It feels like they're just layers of stuff that's still there. I know intellectually I can connect with the fact that I probably still have layers of sadness and anger about things. I have a hard time connecting with them in that moment. If I did, I feel like it'd be easier for me to kind of address them and work through them. But after so many attempts, I just kind of numb out, and it's like, okay, it happened again, and we just kind of move on.
I have so many thoughts going through my head right now. I want to ask you just a couple of things, and you don't have to answer. This is just for like information in the background for me. Does he struggle with erectile dysfunction?
Yes.
Okay. Also, what I'm wondering is, do your libidos line up? Are they are you about the same desire for sex? Would you say? You're shaking your head.
That's a bit of a tough one, because after him unlearning some of the drives that he had porn-wise, I think he's still settling into what his natural libido is.
Okay.
We had some struggle earlier in his recovery where he would feel very entitled to sex. He would feel very grabby. He would be checking me out a lot. And it makes total sense to me, because if you can just click a button on the internet and have this wonderful, sexy, naked woman who wants to engage with you sexually. That a lot of that was coming from his being so used to that as being his sexual outlet.
Right.
So I think we are roughly even with libido. Stress and daily life and stuff affects his libido less than it affects mine. So sometimes if I get really busy with work, I'm just a little bit more like, but I think on a base level, all that stuff aside, we're pretty well matched.
Okay. So do you know why I ask about erectile dysfunction?
In theory, I'm interested to see what you think about it, if it's a psychological side of things as well.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a catch-22 thing of he wants to perform and he wants to be able to, be manly enough and all those things. But at the same time, if he overthinks it and he freezes up, then it can be very much psychological. It can also be physical.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of shame around erectile dysfunction. And so it can even get people to stop coming on to their partner at all because they're afraid they can't perform.
Yeah.
I think there's way more to this story than just that. But as you were talking, it kind of screamed of that for me, that was part of this equation. And
absolutely,
if somebody's acted out with pornography, masturbation, compulsively for a long time, one of the consequences of that is erectile dysfunction as well. So that's just one piece to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I know that he's open to medication. He's had some before, prescription coverage problems ensued, and he's between medications for that right now, but he's completely open to that being something that is helping with that part of the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyler, do you have any thoughts?
No, yeah, I think that's good to pursue the medical side of it with prescriptions, but I think where Brandon you're going, it's also just as important. Like when we look at erectile dysfunction, there's usually a few things you chase down. First one is hormones or physical stuff. Like sometimes that's just the case. Physically, it doesn't work. A lot of the times it's an anxiety issue. And in this case, it sounds like part of the issue that you're running into is the anxiety is paired up with the shame, and those two things come together pretty strongly. And so he could probably go and get help with the physical part of it through the medication, but there would still need to be, and this is the messy part that you guys have in your relationship.
Yeah.
There still needs to be some work on the shame component that is, this is hard to hear, but in a lot of ways that you don't have control over fixing. Right. I mean, you guys could be engaged in creating space for there to be the process of practice with one another. But the right kind of practice isn't for you to, number one, like totally abandon him, but it's also not for you to reach all the way over and say,
and rescue.
Hey, you're good enough. You're good enough. You're good enough. Come on. Because what that's actually going to do is actually reinforce the wrong part of the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to have happen is that part of the pattern needs to actually be in some ways almost separated. And he's going to have to come to those conclusions through some other means other than you telling him that sexually. Otherwise, you'll just repeat the pattern over and over again.
Yeah, I hear that because we've totally been there. I've taken on all of the work in this realm in the past. So clearly it hasn't, fixed it.
Yeah. I mean, do you have the capability to fill up his cup of self-worth? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, I understand. And no, not just me.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask this: at all, do you have any of the ingredients to fill up his self-worth?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
How so?
Being really grateful and supportive for how he does show up in our lives. Being really encouraging of the progress that I see. I see so much progress and so much change over all his hard work. Continuing to make space for us to be intimate, and continuing to kind of hold trust and hope in that arena and giving us kind of opportunity to work on that. Let him know when I think he looks good.
so Kat, this is going to sound like splitting hairs, but the differentiation here is really important. Mm-hmm. What you just listed off to me was that you have the ability to be a loving, safe, supportive, kind partner. Absolutely. And you have the ability to create half of the equation, to create love. Mm-hmm. Right. So you creating love in a supportive relationship is awesome. That's like what we all want. That's great. Absolutely do those things. And that isn't the ingredient to actually create his self-worth. That still isn't the thing that's going to fill up his cup. I've seen it before where wives are all of those things, and it just triggers the husband's, and vice versa. It just triggers the husband's shame because look at my wife, she loves me and all this stuff, and I still am a piece of crap. I'm still not okay. I'm still not enough. Like she tries to make space to have sex and this and that, and then I just can't perform, and I'm just a loser. And so she's doing everything she possibly can because she wants a man who's solid, who stands on his own 2 feet and knows who he actually is. And as much as she tries to create that for him, she cannot. Right? Are you following me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you're there and you're freezing up in the bedroom and you're thinking, I don't desire him that much right now. And I know you would never probably say that out loud. I'm not really wanting this that bad, but now I have to almost pretend like I really do to caretake for him. It does a couple of things that will actually lead to you wanting to be in those situations less with him, because you'll have to betray yourself in order to take care in that moment. And to a woman, what is not desirable is a weak man that you have to caretake for. And I hope as your husband listens to this, I hope it doesn't trigger him, because we'll get around to what he can actually do. Okay. Yeah. But that doesn't turn you on. That's not exciting. And so what would, Kat?
What would turn me on and make me excited?
Yeah. What would genuinely want you to be with him? Help you want to be with him?
Feeling the same level of kind of base confidence and excitement, and feeling the level to which we know each other, and know how each other likes to be touched, and what is comfortable, what's a turn on, kind of just being confident that we're both in the room with that same motivation to meet each other halfway. And just a base level of trust that we can pick up where each other's leaving off. Like we can, like a sexual version of finishing each other's sentences. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't need him to come in all ultra confidence and dominate and set the proceedings.
Pompous, arrogant jerk.
Yeah. And he doesn't need to be all of a sudden be sex expert overnight either. Just, right. An expert at me and my body and what he knows that I like. That would feel really good. I just want to be able to kind of trust enough to let go and feel cared for in those moments.
It's hard to do that when you're caretaking. Go ahead, Tyler.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. Like where I was going to, Brandon, is that that's where the equation is a little bit broken. So you used a couple of words and they all link together. You said, I want him to know me and to care for me. In order to do that, there needs to be some level of mutual confidence. So the best sex life would actually be that I know who I am and I know what I'm bringing in to offer. He knows who he is and he knows what he's bringing in to offer, not in like you said, a pompous or arrogant way, but more of where it's broken is that if there's confidence and trust and knowing one another, then there's this mutual experience inside of sex that's different than when it's transactional by nature, because one person becomes the consumer and the other person becomes the dispenser.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the wrestle that you guys are currently having is that you're trying to find that middle ground, but one of the ingredients is frequently not there, which is that there's the knowledge of who I am, and I'm here to be a participant and to offer, instead of, you know, him showing up and saying, tell me who I am.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do think it's important what Brandon said earlier, that what you're doing is phenomenal work to be able to create all the space that you're trying to create. But there, he said there's going to be some things that will come if you try to go in and fix him too much. It'll, number one, it'll keep the transactional model of your sex life going the wrong way, but it'll also fuel something you said earlier, which is, you said, I know that I'm still struggling deep down inside sometimes with feelings of sadness or anger or maybe some resentment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you continue to try to fix the problem by being his answer, there's a very real possibility that your anger and resentment will actually continue to grow, even if it stays under the surface and seethes for a while, because you will have now been doing all the right things, in quotes,
Right.
And it still isn't yielding the results. And because you already have that rooted anger and resentment, it's just going to pile on top of it until eventually there comes a breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question then is in doing all the things that you're trying to do right, where is the line and the distinction of helping things go right and overstepping to the point that I am going to either feel resentful or I'm going to perpetuate the same cycle?
I think I can sense that line now better than I could before. And I just caught myself about to say that I hope I do it with enough love not to send him back into shame, which I think is, there's still caretaking in that. It's still there.
Good catch.
Good
job.
Yeah. So a lot of this is outside of my control. If I were to, I'm not sure that he knows the steps to take to build this for himself.
So there is something in your control here, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So like, I'll get back to your question about steps for him, but
yeah.
And it would be kind of ironic for us to talk about a bunch of steps for him to take while we're talking about not caretaking for him and like doing his
right.
work for him.
Oh, yeah.
But you said something earlier of like, I don't know how you worded it, but I just want to be carefree and I want to just be kind of in the moment and connected. And I said, well, caretaking undermines that.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, what you were talking about, Kat, is femininity. Like you were talking about like ultra femininity and of just being present and mindful and experiencing that moment with him and feeling safety so that you can just be open and be there with him. And so when you want that and you're showing up that way and he shows up with really weak masculinity of, I want to know that I'm enough. I need to know that I'm desired. I need to know that. And so you take your femininity and you try to give him his masculinity. You're okay. You're good enough. I want you. You're fine. You're fine. You can't take your femininity and give him his masculinity. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but when you do that, in a way, you kind of sacrifice your own femininity. So it's like you're throwing it out to the wind and he can't receive it and turn it into masculinity. And now you're left with, now I'm just trying to control the situation to try to feel like we're connected so that we can get this sex thing done. Right. Like versus you really empowering your femininity, showing up honest and just grounded and knowing who you are as a woman. And then when the weak masculine comes along, you don't caretake for him, but you actually hand back to him that's where you're at. And I need a strong man. Now, what's that going to do? It's going to cause crisis inside of him.
Yes.
Right? Trigger his shame.
Right. And this is what we want. Okay. So the system of you caretaking and making it better, but we actually want you to be boundaried there so that you can hand back to him his opportunity for his work. And hopefully this is what he does, is he says, whoa, Kat's not taking care of, like, she's not going to fix this for me. Where do I now go to fix this? Where do I go now to make sure that I'm solid enough, that I'm strong enough, that I'm confident enough, that I can come back to her with that confidence? I now have the opportunity to look at this. She's giving me this feedback. She wants me. She wants to have sex. All these things, but she doesn't really want to have sex with me when I'm begging her to tell me that I'm enough. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's what you have control over, is for you to be boundaried and actually give him the opportunity to go do his own work. Now, when he comes back with drama and says, well, yeah, you'll never love me, or I'm just never good enough, or I'm blah, 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 you can have compassion for him, but still not take the bait. Mm-hmm. Still not take the bait. So do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the only difference I see from that script is that he won't tend to lash out in that way.
Okay.
He tends to kind of fade away and not initiate sex. And it goes another month or two, and he kind of retreats into recovery and healing, which is great. But I don't know.
What do you do when he does that? When he fades away and retreats? You can feel that distance. How do you respond when that happens?
If it goes for maybe a week or two, I'll, lightly see I'll ask how his recovery is going. I'll ask if he wants to set aside a sex date in the next couple weeks, if he feels open to intimacy again.
Okay. And what does he do usually? Does he?
Sometimes it'll be a very nervous, like, yeah, sure. Yeah, this sounds good, or like, yeah, I've been meaning to ask you, I would really like to. Or sometimes he wants to do more work. He's like, I'm not at a really good place right now. I want to go and do more things. Most of the time, I don't know what the things are going to be. But he has such a good support network with his recovery that I know that a lot of these things are chatting with his guys. But other than that, it kind of goes into a recovery void, and I'm not totally sure.
Interesting.
I actually like the idea that you're giving an invitation back after kind of giving some space there. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually really good work. As you guys talk about this with each other, have you guys identified this kind of a pattern with one another, that you're looking for him to show up and be offering more than needing to receive in terms of his value, his confidence? Does he know that that's kind of where things are at with the two of you?
On a base level, yes. I'm really looking forward to him having the chance to listen to this, because I think some of the language is different than has come up in our discussions before. Mm-hmm. But I really have expressed that I want to feel like I can trust him, and for him to pick up, half of the drive that's happening, and for him to just really connect with and remember how I like to be cared for during sex.
I wonder sometimes, like that word, especially when you said that I can trust him. I think a lot of times, if I'm putting myself in his shoes, he's thinking, well, I'm being honest, I'm being transparent. I'm like, but that's not what that's not where you're really meaning in this scenario. Yes, those things are important to the bigger, broader picture. But what you mean by trust him is that you can trust that his energy will meet your energy. You can trust that his that his involvement and pursuit and offering will meet yours. And that's what the trust means, is that his strength will meet you.
Yeah. And if I withdraw some of the overreaching and the overdoing, that he will meet me. He will come to me then.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly. And I think if you guys are able to map that out and start to recognize that, Susan Johnson, she refers to the pattern that you guys are in as a pattern of seeking what she calls soulless sex, meaning solace. Like, I'm seeking solace, right? Like he's trying to seek solace inside of you guys' sexual relationship, but then it doesn't quite work because it feels messy and he doesn't feel like he can perform. And so the practice needs to happen. But the practice needs to happen in the way we're describing it, where he's not coming to fill the void. He's trying to step in to learn how to start to offer himself and to pursue and to do those things in those kinds of ways. And in order to do that, his recovery work needs to include more than just sobriety. It needs to include some real shame resiliency work. And you can hear it just even in the threads of what you were saying. If he was kind of building his addiction at the same time he had been wrestling with his just joining the Christian church, and now he's got like a lot of these shameful things going on. There's a lot of shame laced into even when he shows up with you sexually still, probably. And so
Absolutely.
that is part of the work that he's going to have to start to work to unwire and untangle in his brain. That I imagine that in his recovery, the way that he started was, I'm going to shut off my sex drive and that'll make me a better person. And now he's having to actually learn how to say, no, I need to keep a sex drive in order to be a healthy person. I need to bridle it in ways that are healthy inside of my relationship.
But Tyler, you're kind of talking about like, his experience with Christianity and shame and sex all mixed together. This goes so far beyond just like not being codependent with Kat. It's about like really coming to terms and with God is right.
Yeah. And that's part of the challenge here. And I don't know if we don't even have him on, but I imagine I'm reading between the lines here. So, but the challenge is, Brandon asked the question earlier. He said, where is he going to go to find his answer as to who he is? And naturally in my head, I go, that's going to be the wrestle with his relationship with God. But if he's currently in a wrestle with God based off of the fact that he incurred so much shame as a result of the messages he received, that in and of itself is something that's going to be a necessary wrestle until he can come to some semblance of peace and understanding with his own relationship with a higher power that is totally outside of your control, but still a vital, important part of the healing of you guys' sex life.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really hard. It's hard to allow space in a relationship for both people to be doing that constant wrestle with a higher power when all of these other factors have been laid in over the top of it too.
Kat, I want to try something and see if this works. I'm gonna act like I got it figured out perfectly here, but I don't. But I'm gonna act like that. Okay. So I want my wife to desire me. I want my wife to desire to have sex with me. And it's interesting. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. How is that okay? How can that not be codependent or consumatory? Like I'm using her because I want her to desire me. How can that be without it being unhealthy?
It feels like a natural human and relationship need to have some level of that.
There's a base need for connection, and part of connection is sexual desire, sexuality, and that's part of intimacy. So that's okay. And this is almost going to sound arrogant, but I want her to desire me because I'm freaking awesome. And we can make some amazing love together. Like it's going to be crazy, amazing what we can do together because we're both freaking awesome. And so like, I know within me that I'm enough. I know that I'm good. And I want her to connect to me because I love me. And I want to connect to her because I love her. And And I know that God loves me. Like God really, truly sees me and loves me. So then I'm grounded in that I'm lovable. I know I'm lovable, which is way different than I need you to connect to me because I need you. I need it. I've got to have your validation. I got to have it. And in a way, Kat, your husband, and it's coming out in your sex life here, your husband has kind of turned you into his God. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And you as his wife, you don't want to be worshiped as his God. You want to be his wife. You want to be his lover. You want to create love together.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be the God who then dictates everything. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So it's differentiating that. And the piece that you really have a part in here is to say, like, I'm not going to play that game anymore. I'm not your God.
Mm-hmm.
I can't validate you. I can totally desire you, but that desiring you has to be authentic, because fake desiring you just creates this whole thing again and again and again. Right?
Yeah.
So
I love how you illustrated that. It feels like a difference of abundance versus scarcity.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Scarcity isn't sexy.
No,
it's not.
scary and desperate and anxious.
Yeah.
I like how you put that too, Brandon, in a way that it doesn't need to be shameful either to look at it that way.
No, it sounds so joyful.
Yeah.
Right.
When you've got two people who can just be working on knowing that they're already loved and still wanting to be desired by one another and showing that they desire one another, that's actually a really helpful, beautiful, like, way to interact in a marriage in more than just sexual ways.
Right.
But it has to work from that flow. Like, if you have two people who are trying to, it's like when you put two people who are empty trying to take from one another, it's like you're just pouring empty cups back into one another. It's like, it's just like, so it's just like, it's exasperating, but when you've got two people who are doing the internal work to know who they are. And I love what you said, Brandon, this is going to be interesting to hear what some of our listeners think about this. When I've come to the conclusion that I know I'm awesome and I still want my partner to desire me, but I don't need them to desire me, I can now, in essence, offer my awesomeness while they offer theirs, and it turns into a pretty awesome thing.
Yes, exactly.
But even just saying that, a lot of people are cringing, going, but that's so arrogant. Like, you're supposed to be humble. You're supposed to, but the truth is that humility is knowing who you are and then being willing to choose to put yourself vulnerably into the places of the relationships that matter most to you and offering those things.
Yeah.
And so all of us have more work to do, probably, in that realm of knowing that we're awesome. Yeah.
Kat, I haven't met your husband today. But just the little bit that you talked about him, he sounds like a pretty awesome dude, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
sounds like a great guy.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I wonder if he knows how awesome and amazing he is, like, not from a head level, but from a heart level.
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds like he's really naturally humble and wanting to be there for you and wanting to work his recovery and wanting to figure out things with God. And he's on a journey here.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is still not fully answered, of knowing who he is as a man. And that's showing up in the bedroom with you. And then the question for you, or that lack of safety with him, is your fear comes up of, I need to take care of this.
Yeah.
And so then we could dig into, okay, what is that coming from inside of you, right? Like, what work do you need to do to say, okay, like, I can be okay with the discomfort of not caretaking for him. I can be strong enough there to not do that, and we could look at what are some past traumas or beliefs about yourself or things like that come into play to get you to play this game with him. And once you face those things, deal with those things, then you can show up more powerfully in your relationship with him.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's very hopeful. That gives us a path that I think is better articulated than what we've been able to come up with on our own.
Awesome.
Do things feel, with the things that Brandon's been saying today, do they feel clear in your mind? Do they make sense, or does it feel all muddy?
No, it feels really clear. I get such a sense of like hope and excitement when I think about I think that that'll be a great motto, is that we both just need to know that we're awesome and come together and make more awesome things happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I can definitely, it's the other side of the coin from reducing shame and fighting shame and working on shame, but it's kind of the abundance side. It makes it sound so much more of a kinder reminder of what he needs to go do, instead of, go build your self-worth and reduce your shame.
Yeah, you loser. You loser. Why do you think you're such a loser? Don't do that.
I think that's why it's been so difficult on my side, because when I have those boundaries and I know that he needs to go and do his work sounds like such a slog. And so this sounds great. This sounds really, really hopeful for us.
Well, Kat, your energy has been awesome today. And you have kind of a vibrance and a just good energy about you. So really appreciate you coming on today, being vulnerable. In 45 minutes, we kind of scratched the surface of things. Yeah. But really appreciate you coming on. And I think this will help a lot of people to listen to it as well.
I hope so too.
You're in, we talk about this all the time, but you're kind of in the messy middle of this stuff. And if you guys can, I love the idea of an abundance mentality, because it allows there to be room for processing, room for mistakes, room for practice. And if you guys could see it that way, that you're stepping into more and more practice, then it doesn't have to have the shame laced with it that has been in the past.
No, it's just the work.
And the fact that you're in the space that you are in your own recovery, that you're willing to come to the table in that practice kind of a mindset, says a lot about the work that you've been doing too. So you're doing a really phenomenal job, and really appreciate your willingness to bring it here today with us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the fresh perspective. I really needed it.
Yeah, you bet. All right, you guys, thank you for listening too. We appreciate those who are here listening to Kat put herself out there, and hopefully this is helpful. If it is, please share it with somebody else that might also benefit from it.
See you guys.